There were times where the vision was so bad that I would wake up, it wouldn't have gone fully away. And not to be dramatic, but there were times where I was like, I would go to sleep and I would just like wish I just wouldn't wake up because of how bad the vision was and like the uncertainty of like, am I actually ever going to get my vision back? Because if this is how it's going to be, or if it's going to get progressively worse, like this isn't how I want to live. Like I'm a creative person. I'm like I said, I'm very much a visual person. That's how I take everything in. During that entire thing, it's taught me how to really just appreciate everything. Introduce yourself. Who are you and what do you do? My name is Steve Mahalko. I'm 34 years old. I am a girl dad to two beautiful little girls. I also am a multifaceted designer. I work for Topps Trading Cards and Fanatics, designing trading cards. I also like to do photography, videography, and graphic design on the side. So I also have a clothing brand called Root in Pittsburgh that I started back in 2007 as a graphic design project for school. My mom actually helped me with the name of the brand. I had the overall design and concept down, but then she just ended up helping come up with the name, and I was like, okay, that's good. Yeah, I think I can run with that. So yeah, 2010, I turned it into an actual t-shirt business and started just making stuff from there. So you've worked in photography, videography, car design, and even started a clothing brand. What drives you to create? What is your deeper mission? What drives me to create? I think my what drives me to create is just being creative itself. I've always loved to create, no matter what it was, no matter the medium. I feel like now it still is to create, but it's also to show I'll eventually show my girls that like you just do what you love, just have fun with it. I think I've always been creative. I was really big into Legos growing up. My oldest now is huge into Legos too. But she besides the Legos, she's very big into the drawing, the painting. But yeah, that was my start was Legos, and then I slowly just started getting into like drawing more. And I wasn't much of a painter. I was more drawing. Yeah, and then from there, just kind of started leaning more into fashion actually. But me and my mom would watch Project Runway growing up, and so like we watched like all the seasons of that, and so that I feel like that kind of helped push more of the creative boundaries of like what I wanted to try and do. So that kind of pushed me to get more into graphics and computer graphics and stuff like that. So after finally dabbling in Photoshop, whenever I got to high school, yeah, that was kind of like when I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. I want to try and see if I can do more with this. And yeah, ever since then, it's just been just learning and trying to grow more. Photography, I didn't really start getting into until about late high school. Video work was probably about college, is whenever I started to dabble in video. But between that and then also, obviously, the health complications have been kind of like my drive for wanting to create more. So, what is my deeper mission? I think I kind of revert back to my girls, just kind of making sure that like they see their dad doing something that they love or that he loves and that they can do what they love to, without feeling any type of way about it. Like just to make sure that they can follow whatever they want to do in life, whether it be being creative or some other type of avenue that they want to pursue. So, um, I mean, as far as the card design and everything, though, I feel like once I got into the hobby at this current position, because I actually had worked in the hobby about 9 years prior for another company doing photos, videos, and graphics for them and creating uh, projects or products for them, I should say, that were like repackaged autograph memorabilia or trading cards and stuff like that. Finally getting a hold of a project myself to kind of like be the creative lead on, and I ended up that with that project I really leaned into like the nostalgia factor of it, it kind of changed my mindset of like, okay, this is more about like a nostalgia feeling for me, like especially as far as design. Like the designs I did, I ended up making the product was called Shoebox Collection. So it was basically supposed to be you get autographed memorabilia of players from the past that you may have collected whenever you were growing up, like Bo Jackson, Michael Jordan, stuff like that. And I designed it to look like it was in an old Nike shoebox because that's what a lot of people would just throw their cards into like a shoebox and put it underneath their bed. And so that was kind of like, again, playing on the nostalgia factor. With Tops, they designed the trading cards. I'm like, oh, this would be a pretty cool opportunity just to be able to get in there and kind of hope to see if I can translate what I was doing with Gold Rush into Tops, like with my design and stuff. And that was one of the main reasons why I even applied to Tops was because I was like, okay, maybe I can kind of, if I get in there, it'd be cool just to be like, oh yeah, I work Tops, but then just to work on projects and kind of gear it towards what I was thinking, if that makes sense.
It does.
But yeah, that was yeah. I want to create stuff with Tops that people will actually want to collect and create and stuff. It's be able to make stuff that people are going to look at and be like, okay, yeah, I definitely got to like hold on to this and collect this. And then people look back at like 15, 20 years from now, like, oh, I remember getting this Electric Sluggers card back in 2026, like, yeah. So I think that's, oh, for my clothing brand, I guess I can talk about, the deeper meaning for Rooted. I think it started obviously as the project for school, but eventually after getting a little bit older too, it's kind of, I want to pay homage to the people of Pittsburgh. Yeah, I feel like there's such a history here that it's, yeah, I kind of want to pay homage to the city itself and its like steel roots and especially like I'm from the Mon Valley area, so it was just steel mills during like the old days that it was just run up the rivers, that it was just mills. And well, I know they're not the healthiest things, but it's cool to reflect back on what was accomplished during those times and the hardworking like men and women from that era too that were just those types of people just aren't going to exist again. So it's kind of like it's trying to tell a story of that, but put a current twist on it, just to kind of give it more of like a refreshed look. I don't really have like a a deeper meaning for the rooted thing aside from just being creative and wanting to pay the homage to like the city and stuff. So, what has it been like for you to live with diabetes? It's been tough. I'll say that. Growing up, yeah, I first got diagnosed whenever I was in first grade. So I've had it now for about 27 years. Thankfully, growing up, I had my parents to help me out, mainly my mom and dad to help me out with getting shots and checking my sugar and helping me keep like the food and stuff regulated. And then all throughout high school. But then whenever I finally was an adult, I kind of just lived like I was invincible, unfortunately. Yeah, like after I was living like I was invincible, I think I was probably about 28 or 29 is whenever the first like complications started to really show up and take effect. But yeah, I mean, overall, I mean, it's been a pretty roller coaster type of journey. So you lost vision in one eye and came close to losing it in the other. Can you talk to me about that journey? How did that experience change the way you approach life? Yeah, so I want to say it was late 2021. Um, I was actually applying for a position with American Eagle as a graphic designer, and I did one of their tests, and it came back like they were like, "Oh, hey, you missed a couple things." I was like, "Oh, okay. I don't know what you guys were talking about." So they ended up like circling what they had missed and stuff. And whenever I went back and reviewed it, I like ended up like closing one of my eyes. I'm like, "Oh, wait a second. Like, I really did miss it. Like, I don't know like why that was. What's going on here?" And then I ended up going to the eye doctor that I think that week. and they were like, "Hey, yeah, you looks like you have like a retinal like tear, like detachment. So we should probably do surgery on it." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." I'm thinking we'll schedule this out in a couple months. He's like, we gotta do this like next Monday." Okay, I guess if that's what we need to do. So yeah, they ended up putting in an oil bubble in the back of my eye that I had to end up having removed a few months later. That was pretty difficult in itself because you couldn't go over certain elevations. You had to sleep sitting up, stuff like that. So that was the first round of that. I ended up going to a different eye specialist, and over the course of probably 2.5 years, I ended up having three surgeries on the left eye to try and reattach the retina. By the third surgery, it was so scarred from all the surgeries and just the overall well-being, health of the retina, that it's like if I would try to close my eye right now and look, like I can see maybe shadows. So it's kind of like the extent of the vision that I can get out of that eye. Yeah. So, but then during that entire process, I was having bleeds in my good eye. So when the bleeds what happened, they would basically be like small blood vessels bursting behind the eye. And when it happens, there's like a spider web that comes like over your vision, and that spider web eventually dissipates, and it's the blood in your eye that ends up blurring your vision. It depends on how bad of a spider web you get. Some people just get like little spots. Like I still get them to this day. They aren't that bad, but at its worst, I was getting like full blown spider webs to where I would be fully blind. There were probably about a year and a few months that I was having that in that good eye, and every month I was getting injections to try and stop all the bleeding. When that would happen, though, whenever I would get the shot and the spider webbing, like I said, I would lose my vision completely. It would be just very just colors and shapes. There wasn't really much visibility. Whenever I would go to sleep and I'd wake up, my vision would be just like a little bit hazy. So it wouldn't be fully hazed over yet because the blood had settled from me sleeping. So, and again, I would be sleeping sitting up pretty much that entire duration. Yeah, I would wake up and I would do what I needed to do, like get myself ready. My big thing was to play with my oldest at the time because I didn't want her to like. Not saying that I couldn't do anything blind, but it was very hard because to do anything because obviously I'm not. I was never taught how to do anything while blind. I didn't go to a school or anything like that, and it was just very new to me. It was new to the household, so it was kind of like, okay, like, what do we do? So, but yeah, so I would wake up, I would play with Liv, and slowly my vision would just haze over, and I would just sit there and try to be present as much as I could. But yeah, it was kind of it was a low spot for us at the house, but then for me in particular, like there were I know that there were times where the division was so bad that I would wake up and it wouldn't have gone fully away. And not to be dramatic, but there were times where I was like I would go to sleep and I would just like wish I just wouldn't wake up because of how bad division was, and like the uncertainty of like, am I actually ever going to get my vision back? Because if this is how it's going to be, or if it's going to get progressively worse, like I don't like this isn't how I want to live. Like I'm a creative person. I'm like I said, I'm very much a visual person, so I that's how I take everything in for work and for like just home life, and that during that entire thing, the experience, how it changed my life is it's taught me how to really just appreciate everything. I can't take anything for granted, especially vision. That's why I try to do so much with my girls, and just try to be as present as I can for them and be as fun as I can for them, because I don't know if it ever will come again, or if I have this issue or anything else, but I just want to make my days count for them as well as for myself. Yeah, it was a no pun intended, it was an eye opener to really try and take better care of myself too. That was the big thing too. Is whenever I finally first started to have these issues, they approved me. Insurance finally approved me for a constant glucose monitor, so I was able to finally like take care of my sugars the way I was supposed to. But then they didn't tell me that is that if you correct your sugars too quickly, it can amplify the problems that you have with retinopathy, which is one of the issues that I have, proliferative diabetic retinopathy. Is that if you change your like HbA1c too quickly from like managing high blood sugars down to like lower blood sugars, if for whatever reason it's just gonna wreck your eyes. So that was why I was having such bad issues in the
Oh.
eyes. Yeah. So yeah, so my doctor asked me finally after like two surgeries, he's like what's your HbA1c? I'm like, I told him, he's like, what was it before? And I told him now, and he's like, yeah, we probably should have like went over this a little bit more, that you can't do that, you know. So it was something that was just kind of uh, amplified the issues of the eyes, but
Mm.
not much I can do about it now except just accept it and kind of keep moving forward from it. So I'm just trying to be as healthy as I can, and especially not just for myself but for the family. So how has becoming a father changed you? It's changed a lot, to be honest. It wasn't like a sudden, like once we learned about her, or about having our first child, we did a gender reveal. After first learning that we were going to have a baby, it was very. I was more nervous than anything at first, um, but over time, I started to just relax a little bit more. And then whenever she was finally born, it was like I just knew, like I cried whenever I first heard her and saw her, and from that moment on, yeah, it's just been kind of like I'm gonna try to be the best person I can be for her, and now for my youngest too. So it's definitely changed how I go about everything in life, as far as even just do everything day to day. Like I always have them in mind, like whenever I'm doing stuff, whether it's gonna either affect them or if it's going to benefit them, or just making sure I make good decisions. So it was definitely life changing in a positive light. I will say. But yeah, they're my everything. Like that's why I do what I do. So after everything you've been through, what are some ordinary things that you don't take for granted anymore? Uh, Vision is definitely the main thing I don't take for granted, but everything, honestly. Being blessed with being able to work from home has been such a game changer, because obviously I'm still working like how I'm supposed to be working, but being able to like look over or look behind me and see my daughters playing in their playroom, and them being safe and sound, and obviously everything comes back to the vision, but like I see them having fun, and just not taking that for granted, that I can actually see them like growing up and having a great time and loving each other. And yeah, I don't know. I know there's been times where like, oh, it's kind of silly to say out loud, but like there's times like I'll drive home, and like I'll see a sunset. Like there's one spot in particular that I remember, that it's like kind of like by where we live. There's like these like rolling hills, and there's like a farm. They have cows and stuff. And there was like a sunset the one day that was and I looked over and I saw it, and it like actually made me emotional, like actually looking at it, how, because I'm like, there was a time that like I would have looked over and I would have just seen colors and shapes and not known, like how beautiful that was. But now it's kind of like, whenever I see that type of stuff, I try to take it in as much as I can. It's crazy like what it'll do to you, like it'll change you. I mean, during that whole ordeal, I ended up going through a lot of therapy, just because the mental load was definitely taxing, to say the least. So it's it's definitely made me more appreciative of everything that I have, and just the beauty in everything. So I kind of try to not see, obviously, like, there's negativity everywhere, but I try to just see like the positives in people, and just kind of try to understand people's stories. And I mean, especially given the one I have, I mean, so it's just been kind of it's kind of made me, led me to be a bit more understanding of everything, and to be more appreciative. So, if your younger self was here with us, what would you say to him? I would say to take care of your diabetes is the first thing, but um, I would say that you're going to have, no matter what happens with your health, you're still going to have a beautiful family and a beautiful life, and that you're still going to be able to, you're going to learn to be appreciative of everything, and to kind of just take every day just one day at a time. I mean, life can change in an instant, so it's kind of just kind of have to take life on life's terms. There's nothing you can really, you can change stuff, but there's, outside of that, there's nothing. It's everything's set in stone. It's, we live and we die. To not be morbid, so, but it's, you just have to take it on life's terms. That's like one of the things that I've eh, had to accept also with my eyes, was, that was, I can only do so much. It's not going to be a miracle that something happens. I have to just do the steps that I need to, and take care of myself. And if your future self was here, what would he tell you to stop holding back? It's kind of hard to answer that, because I feel like there's a lot of things that I want to do that I'm just kind of limited on time in doing. I feel like I'm not holding back. I feel like, in a sense, that I just need to take the plunge and fully just be creative as much as I can. Because I feel like, obviously, with home life and dad life and stuff, that you're limited on time. But at the same time, I just need to find a good balance between that and pushing the envelope myself of creativeness, because I know I can do more than what I already am. And I know what I feel like what I am doing is a lot, but I feel like I can do so much more too. So yeah, I mean, I was up until 2:30 last night working on uh, a couple of the projects that I have going on right now, and then I woke up at 7:30 today to start getting ready for the day. So it was like I'm just always just trying to create for as much as I
I get
can.
that.
What is the biggest lesson life is teaching you right now? Um, Honestly, I still think the diabetes is kind of like the main thing that, like, the lesson it's teaching me, is because, but besides the eye issues, I do have kidney disease, from which also stemmed from the diabetes complications. So it's a constant, like, everyday reminder, like, hey, like, you need to be taking care of yourself. You need to take care of this. Like, this isn't something that's going to go away. Like, you're stuck with you're stuck with diabetes for life. So, um, but in that same sense, it's teaching me that, like, life is so fragile and it's so unpredictable, that things can and will happen, that it's just, it's inevitable. It's going to happen whether you want it to happen or not. It's, yeah, I feel like life is teaching me just to stay present. Just don't get too lost into the past or into the future. Like, just stay present, stay grounded, stay rooted. What are you learning to love about yourself? I'll say it's been a tough road, to be honest, especially with the eye issues, and then obviously with the kidney issues. I had a lot of self doubt and didn't really have any self love. I kind of just, it's been a journey. It's been a road. I will say that, like, it's taken me a while to really fully embrace myself for the stuff that has happened, and what, or is happening, and what has happened, that I just need to accept it. And I mean, I can't be upset that I was given this hand. It's, I just have to roll with it. So, um, getting myself to come to those terms was a bit of a struggle. But I mean, it's something that I'm just gonna keep working on and just make sure that like yeah, just like accepting myself the for my past and what I did, and just trying to make whatever corrections I can now going forward, and just staying healthy and doing whatever I can to be the best me for not only myself but for my family. So, how has it felt to be seen in this way today? Um, it's definitely different. A lot of the people that I do meet and talk to, at whether it be like events or just like going down in Pittsburgh and stuff like that and meeting people, and they obviously don't see me in this light. I feel like it's best for people to really see the true side of like who you really are, because if I'm meeting someone like at a shop or something or at an event, they're only meeting me for a brief minute. They don't really truly know me. So I feel like it's a good opportunity for people to really just express who they really are and get to know you in a sense without really actually knowing you fully. So, um, but it's definitely, like I said, it's different. It's but I think it's a good different. It's good. So, biggest takeaway. I think it comes back to just learning and understanding like what each person, who they are and what they stand for and what they do, stuff like that. I think it's good just to it's such a good thing for connecting with others too, because I feel like let's I won't go on a rant, but about social media and stuff about like how I feel like we just lost so much connectivity with one another in a digital world, that we've lost the in-person feeling between people, that it's just like it's crazy, because I remember like 2010, we only had like MySpace back then, and like but everyone was still going out and hanging out with each other and like having fun. And yeah, granted, I was still in high school, but like it was still like, I mean, even like my family and stuff would hang out more, and there would be more get-togethers and stuff like that. But yeah, now there's like no get-togethers. Everyone just feels so disconnected, and it's such a shame. But I feel like these videos, though, and these interviews bring a sense of connecting one another, because you hear different people's stories. You hear about what like truly is them, So I feel like that it's doing this is adding my part to that. So, any final thoughts? Um, I feel like kind of cliche, but being by saying like just try to to be better for not just for yourself but for each other or for everyone, just to kind of like, I don't want to be like, oh, peace to everyone, but I mean that is kind of like the message I kind of just want to like portray to people. Is just like it's everyone's struggling with something, like just be kind to one another. It's a rough world out there. No matter what level you're on of it, it's yeah. So
Well, thank you, Steve.
yeah, absolutely. Thank you for being here, Steve.